So I think the vision is the friction at the border disappears.
Okay.
And that opens up a number of doors. A high net worth family could come to Gibraltar and base themselves there in the low tax environment, and then they can wander around Schengen to their heart's content. And I think post treaty will have a similar effect in Gibraltar. It will unleash business confidence, it will unleash those expansion plans, relocation plans.
Today I'm joined by Mike Nicholls, founder and director of Chesterton's Gibraltar and the editor of Bite Size Brief. Many of our Sotogrande residents commute daily to Gibraltar and face the same issues: queues, unpredictable checks, and the constant time buffer at the frontier. We'll break down what the new UK-EU treaty could mean for commuters, how it might shape property demand on both sides of the border, and where Category 2 residency fits into the picture. Let's dive in. Mike, you're very welcome.
Morning, thanks for inviting me.
Great. No, I'm really looking forward to this, because Gibraltar is a big thing, and I know, we can talk about that at length, I hope. But before we get on to it, tell us a little bit about Mike Nicholls. Why are you sitting in this chair today? I know you lived in Sotogrande. I know in Spain, you lived in Gibraltar. You came a long time ago. Give us a little bit of background, please.
So 2002, as a chartered accountant, ex-KPMG, I'm in the UK and I bump into Greg Butcher, who's going to be the developer of Ocean Village. He says, I need a finance director to help me. And cut a long story short, I said, that's me. And so me, my wife and my 18-month-old son moved over. We were in Ascot at the time. Moved over, lived in Spain initially. And I became finance director of Ocean Village. And most of you will know Ocean Village in Gibraltar because it's now a well-established marina. I left, I worked there for 8-9 years, and then 2009 I set up Chesterton's and a small accounting company which embellishes the Chesterton's product.
Okay, so you're a chartered accountant and now you're selling property under the heading of Chesterton's, is that right?
Yes.
How did that happen?
So I'd been with Greg in Ocean Village 8-9 years. The financial crash of 2008 came along.
Okay.
We had finished pretty much that stage, that phase of Ocean Village. I had seen a lot of high net worths come into Gibraltar. I didn't think that the estate agents were quite up to the scratch that I had experienced in London. And I was questioning why high net worths went to lawyers, not accountants. I'm an accountant.
Right.
So I thought I'd remedy both. I needed a brand because who was Mike Nicholls? So Chesterton's is a very strong brand in London, which is pretty much where I come from. And so I obtained the franchise of Chesterton's and then set up a small accounting company. And my vision was to correct the flaws of the market as I saw it at the time. And that's what I've been doing for the last 15, 16 years.
And that business has grown and grown and grown. Could you say you're the leading estate agent today?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah?
Of course, Charlie. So Chesterton's was far harder, that whole estate agency.
Yeah.
I'd never been an estate agent ever. So I employed people and it was tougher and it took a lot more of hard work. But today we employ 19 people. We're by far and away the largest. So we do something correctly.
Absolutely.
And then the accounting company is far smaller than I envisaged, but it's very niche and I don't want it to be bigger. So it probably hasn't turned out as I expected it in 2009, but it's different, but probably better than I thought in 2009.
Yeah. I do have a soft spot for you because I'm sitting here.
It's likewise.
I'm sitting here in Old Sotogrande, which for a while was Chesterton's in Sotogrande, and that was due to you, not largely due to you, due to you. The you wanting to come into Sotogrande and getting that going was thanks to you, and I must thank you for that because as we've gone along, it's just grown and grown and grown. I think we've both done very well in real estate, even though, as most people know, it's not my background either, because I was a multinational. Traveling around the world for British expatriate British multinationals. So different, but the same. We end up.
It's different, but when you know as a user of a professional estate agent, you know what you want from an estate agent, and therefore you might not have been an estate agent, but you want to create that professional outfit so that it gives others like you, the experience that you would expect from it.
Yeah.
And I quite like that model.
Yeah. And, in our case, because Sotogrande is becoming more and more a place where people come to live full time, for a number of reasons that a lot of us know, particularly after COVID. My background and experience of living and moving a family from one country to another and everything that goes with it has helped me enormously in understanding what people are going through. And that mum is really worried about who's the dentist and who's the doctor before anything else, because that's what she's looking after the family. And,
Yes.
and a house is to be part of that whole thing. But there you go. Let's get back to Gibraltar and the treaty.
Right.
Let's get the elephant in the room, as we all talk about. How do you think, on a daily basis, is the treaty going to affect the Sotogrande community? And by that I mean we have residents in Sotogrande that commute in and out. We have residents in Sotogrande that go in to shop maybe at Morrison's and come out. And then we have, obviously the Gibraltarians that come this way as well on a regular basis. How is the whole thing going to work for that?
So I think the vision is the friction at the border disappears.
Okay.
And that opens up a number of doors.
So someone who's sitting there saying, oh, let's go to La Línea for a tapa, and they say, oh no, the queue is there, they've got to get a passport out, we've got to do it, that's gone.
Yes.
Gone.
So to come here today, you allow an hour. The commuting distance is probably half an hour.
Yeah.
But you allow an hour because you have to go through the border. Okay. So post-treaty is half an hour. You sail through. So we're connected far better in terms of time, even though the distance is the same. You won't get stopped. There won't be a queue, and you can sail in and out. So those people who want to go shopping in Gibraltar, the ease with which they can do that, very good, and vice versa. Those in Gibraltar who want to come to the Sotogrande Marina and have lunch, it's much, much easier. And then you look at, say, those who take up residence in Gibraltar, because Gibraltar will now, or post-treaty, be able to offer something magical to many people, which is a low-tax jurisdiction within the Schengen boundary. It doesn't join Schengen, it's like an associate. But a high net worth family could come to Gibraltar and base themselves there in the low tax environment, and then they can wander around Schengen to their heart's content. So they can't breach the tax rules of Spain or Portugal or France, but they can wander around. They don't have this 90 and 180 day limit. So one could establish in Gibraltar, but as you know, Gibraltar property prices are higher.
Yeah.
And land is scarce, so you don't have the vast villas that you have here. So certain families will be able to establish in Gibraltar and buy a second home in Sotogrande. They then have to make sure they don't fall foul of tax laws, which we can come on to if you want to. But that dream can exist.
Yeah.
And the free flow, a bit like between Monaco and Nice and France, I suppose, that free flow happens, and many people can avail themselves of quite a nice lifestyle.
Yeah, clearly. Just to clarify, you have to be a resident in Gibraltar, even though to be able to come in and out without showing your passport and staying here and not worry about the 90 days and that sort of thing.
Well,
right?
okay. Let's look at both. So as a resident, so I am a resident of Gibraltar, so I therefore live within a Schengen rule book.
Yep.
And I have an ID card. I can use that ID card to wander around Schengen to my heart's content.
Okay.
As I said before, you can't suddenly go and have 200 days in Spain as you become a tax resident there. But that's different to an immigration style.
How do they control that if you're just walking across the border?
Well, Spain is very good at eyes and ears. Spain's very good at data. Hacienda is very good at data. Yeah, they can look at your utility bills. They can look at your number plates. Yeah. I think it would be unwise to plan to breach it, because Spain is notoriously clever at identifying those. So, but how do they know that? They don't. So no one truly knows where I am within Schengen, because I can roam around. Now let's look at an individual coming from Scandinavia, UK, anywhere. as someone who's going to visit Gib or Sotogrande. They fly into Gibraltar. They go through Gibraltar passport control, which is pretty simple.
Yeah.
And 10 meters later, they go through Schengen passport control. And under this new EES system...
10 meters later, you mean in the airport?
Yes.
Okay, so...
They're going to create an extension to the airport.
Okay.
Half of it is on Spanish soil.
Yeah.
Half of it is on Gibraltar soil. So nobody can claim we've got Spanish boots on our ground or Gibraltar boots on Spanish ground.
Okay.
You know, that they've desensitized that one quite cleverly.
Yeah.
So we have this building which will be built on half on Spain and half on Gib. Within that, you go through the Gibraltar passport control. I say 10 meters. It might be 5, whatever. And then you go through Schengen. So, passport control. So, if anyone's looking for you in Schengen, you're on the wanted list from Italy, you're going to get flagged there. Okay. But it also means that your 90 in 180 days starts the moment you leave the airport.
Yeah.
So, those people who, predominantly from the UK, who used to come to Gibraltar, stay there a month or two, whatever, and do that regularly, that was never an issue from a tax or Schengen point of view. Now it's an issue from a Schengen point of view.
Okay.
So there's some people in the UK who will be annoyed at this, but quite a minority, because now when you come to Gibraltar, you are now on your 90 out of 180.
Right.
So whether you're in Gibraltar or Spain, it's the same. You can only stay as a visiting person. Right. And you wouldn't have a holiday home in Gibraltar for that. You'd have a holiday home in Sotogrande, probably.
One of the questions I get asked by many people who come to, say, rent for the summer, land in Gibraltar, and going through the Spanish control, they ask for a letter where they're staying, a reservation in a hotel, this sort of thing. My daughter comes in and she has to have a letter from me saying that she's coming to stay with me because I have a house and this is my empadronamiento or whatever it is. Does that go away, or is that still...
All goes away, because at the moment, Gibraltar isn't Schengen. Sort of Spain is Schengen, and the border all the way around Schengen, Italy, Germany, and wherever it extends to, has these questions. You can only enter if you have a visa or you're a resident there, and so they're applying Schengen rules at our border. But obviously, it will bring the whole place to a standstill if they did that correctly. So there's an allowance whilst we're negotiating this treaty that there's sort of a soft check.
Right.
So as a red card holder of Gibraltar, which means I've been there 5 years and I'm fully signed up with a job, etc., I'm waived through, which is not a Schengen rule. That's just an allowance whilst we sort this all out. But anyone who isn't a resident or long-term resident of Gibraltar, why are you going to Spain? Show me that you're going to leave. Show me that you're staying in a hotel. Show me this, that, and the other. But all of that goes because your daughter will have come to Gibraltar Airport. By the time all this happens, put her finger on this new EES system.
Right.
That connects to her passport. Through she goes. Schengen knows you are now in Schengen, and they will wait for you to leave. And if you breach your 90 and 180, they come looking for you.
So you must put your finger out on the way out.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Okay.
So at the moment, it's stamping of passports.
Yeah, clearly.
So we have a stamp, and then when you leave, you get another stamp. And in theory, someone could look at your passport and say that person entered that date, that person exited that date. But
so it's the same as going
impossible.
into France, into Germany. If you're going from the UK into Germany, into France, into
So
Barajas,
So once a visitor is in, they can do what they want. Don't spend more than 90 out of 180. And don't spend too long in one country so that you fall foul of their own tax law. Okay. And then it's happy days.
Right. Do you expect the Cat 2 to get bigger, smaller, disappear, or what's
well, I think, and
maybe explain what Cat 2 is, because some people may not know exactly what that is.
So I'm marginally conflicted in this, but I still think it's honest and true. I think Gibraltar becomes a perfect place for high net worths to have a residence.
Yep.
And currently the rules to be a resident are you must have a job, you must be or self-employed, or a particular speciality job.
What about retired?
Or British retired.
Right.
Or wealthy, which is the Cat 2 you've just said.
And self-sufficient.
No. Self-sufficient went 3 years ago.
Okay.
So have a job, be self-employed, be British retired, have a particular unique special job, which we don't have in our own pool, or be of a certain wealth. And that certain wealth today is called Category 2, and you must have 2 million of assets, and you must be of a good person and good reference and what have you. So based on the fact that a high net worth person could come to Gibraltar, buy a place, set up a residence, tax residence, and pay very low tax, it's about 45,000 a year on average, and for them that's very low, they can then wander around Schengen to their heart's content, uncontrolled, and as long as they're not breaching the tax rules, they don't have this 98 180. They may have a place in Portugal, they may have a place in Sotogrande, whatever they want, live the dream. And I mean, how many people will find that interesting? I would imagine hundreds, if not thousands.
Yeah.
To say there's 5,000 in the UK who think that. We, being Gibraltar, we could not cope with 5,000. We could cope with 100, only just. So we, being the government, Gibraltar will therefore have to have some form of lever, because if one is able to become a resident too easily, then we could be flooded.
Of course.
And if we're flooded, property prices will go up too much. And then the Gibraltarians, the kids who want to go and buy in their own town are priced out. So the government must therefore have to work out what is the optimal number of incoming residents. And that will be a number. And then you have to set the rules accordingly. So today, high net worth is 2 million. So we could guess that bar will go higher. But if we only get 50 as a result, we can change it later. So that lever, in terms of who's allowed to be a resident, is purely at the behest of the Gibraltar government.
Excuse the short interruption. Just my tip for the day. When I have clients coming in, I always ask them what might their exit strategy be. And some of them are quite confounded by the answer. The fact is that you're buying a property here in Sotogrande. One day you will sell. It might be in 3 years' time when your child maybe finishes school. It may be in 5 years' time when your children have grown up and think they want to go somewhere else. Your fortunes may change and you want to buy a house somewhere, maybe on the other side of the world, whatever it is. But therefore, consider the exit strategy and how easy or difficult the property you might be interested in buying will be to sell. Just one quick one. I arrive in Gibraltar, I go out of Gibraltar into Schengen, I'm in Spain, therefore, and I decide I need to go back or want to go back by hiring a car, driving through Spain, driving through France. When I exit France, when I put my finger on that little thing, that's when I leave Schengen.
100% correct.
And the Spanish people will know that, obviously, because it's a one system. In other words, I'm not running around Spain for 90 days plus.
So Spain won't necessarily know that you've come in on a date, 30 days later, gone into France, popped into Belgium, come back to France, and then you've gone to the UK. So Schengen will know you spent 70 days. Spain won't know whether you spent those 70 days within France or Spain or Belgium. So if anyone's testing that because you're flagged up as spending too long in Schengen, then one assumes you would have your own data or hotel bookings and you could prove it. So I think, as already exists within Schengen, keeping your own bookings and paperwork and flight tickets, just in case 2 years down the line, some tax authority asks you a question, that would be your defence.
The 10,000, 12,000, whatever it is, daily commuters.
15,000.
15,000.
15,000.
Oh,
We're buoyant.
We're mostly Spanish.
Yes.
Yes, mostly Spanish workers going into work.
Yes, so I think it's 11, the statistics exist, so I think it's about 11,500 Spanish out of about 15,000. And then it's a scattering of Brits and anyone else who's found their way to this part of the world.
They just sail in, sail out.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Wow.
And of course, from a Gibraltar point of view, it's very clever. I always liken Ireland, Dublin was a low tax environment, still is, but was lower a little while ago. But its pool of talent, its pool of labour stretched, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 miles radius. And so you have Google, Microsoft, Apple, all these Amazon, all these high-tech companies there. We've never been able to do that in Gibraltar because, one, we don't have the 30-mile radius of the pool of talent because half of that is the sea. Mm-hmm. And two, the border, it has been a fractious border one way or the other. And not everyone wants to have a fractious commute to work.
Yeah.
Now, one can imagine a situation where employers can now reach out to a vast and greater pool of talent because these people are more willing to commute in because it's now certain. It will take you half an hour from here to the front door of your office in Gibraltar. And there's also, within the treaty, within the small print of we haven't got the treaty yet, we've got the agreement. We've got we've got the bare bones. Well, we haven't got the text of the treaty, which is about 480 pages apparently. So we haven't got that. But within there, we're told is that Gibraltar will supply some money for training. So the idea is to train up the talent pool, which is La Línea, San Roque, and beyond, so that we have more than just the people in hospitality and the people in retail. So we get the engineers, the accountants, and all that sort of stuff from Spain. So the medium term is pretty good for Gib and Spain, I think.
The tax situation there is if I live in Sotogrande and I get a job in Gibraltar, there's a double tax treaty.
Yes, you won't be taxed twice.
I'll be taxed in Gibraltar, and if it's more than Spain, then the little bit I do here or whatever it is, how does that work for someone?
Okay, so a normal person who lives in Sotogrande and works in Gibraltar, they earn £100, and in Gibraltar they will pay around £25 tax.
Right.
Okay, then they fill in their tax return at the year end in Spain and say, "Hello, Spain, I've earned £100." And the tax return will say, well, that means you owe £32.50 in tax. Mm-hmm. And then you put, well, I've already paid 25 in Gibraltar. Yeah. And they say, well, that's fine. Just pay £7.50 here. Yeah. So you top up in Spain. So you're always paying, if you're a resident of Spain, you are paying Spanish rates, right? Albeit a chunk of it is taken from you in Gibraltar and the increment is paid in Spain.
Okay. Gibraltar has been known as a financial place. The betting guys are there. Is that what's going to continue to grow? Do you think, or there'll be some new industries that could come into Gibraltar? I mean, I know Mr. Trump and Mr. Starmer sat there with all these people yesterday, and 250 billion was going to come, and all this business. Can Gibraltar get some of that, do you think?
Well, it's funny, a new data centre has just been announced.
Data centre?
A new data centre has just been announced in the UK. Yeah. Billions, and we've just had our own data centre announced, which will bring with it AI and computer storage related, cloud storage related jobs. So that's similar. What we can't have, because we are restricted in space, we can't have big call centres. Yeah. We can't have labour intensive people. Yeah. So because property and land is expensive, then we would hope and expect to have the higher paid jobs in offices. Because if you've got an office of 100 square metres and you employ 12 people in there, you need those to be high, the high value, the management, the clever, the trained, those people. Yeah. So fintech isn't easily said, but all this AI, finance, crypto, that is probably the future of Gibraltar in terms of business expansion.
Right. And with it, living either in Gib, if you can afford it, or in Spain, because you have this simplicity of being able to do it now.
You have a natural choice. You can have far bigger properties, far more land, and pay probably half per square metre in Spain, but pay the highest rate of tax is knocking on 50%. Ours is 25. So there comes a time where someone thinks, I don't want to pay that much tax in Spain, and they'd prefer to be in Gibraltar. But there comes a time where someone's in Gibraltar and they think, I just need more space.
Yeah.
And I'll go to Spain. The choice there is whether you have Spain as a holiday home or as your main residence, then you don't bother with Gibraltar and you commute in. So, it's lifestyle versus tax versus finance. But it's also, we are different. Spain's different, Euro's different, your judicial system is different, your language is different, your interest rates are different, and some people will quite like the fact that we're pound, pretty much English law. The hospital treatment is, the structure of Gibraltar is very akin to the UK.
Yeah.
So it's those less adventurous may like that.
Yeah. I like to backcast before I forecast to see what's going on and how things can happen. From a real estate point of view and development, and Greg Butcher, because actually I met Greg at the launch of the new hotel at Fairmont. We bumped in, had a chinwag there, and how things were going. Alcaidesa, we think, is going to take off quite dramaticgoing because it's the middle of the road. It's not a €2 million villa, but it's a very nice €600 apartment, so to speak, and that's going to grow quite well. Do you think there'd be more maybe closer to Gib in La Línea area, where people can almost go on a bike from?
I think La Línea will lift. I think this is very, very good for La Línea and therefore then San Roque as you go out, because Gibraltar's been stuck in a bit of a rut economically since the UK left the EU, because we've just had uncertainty, and there's very few businesses who will move to a new jurisdiction or establish in a new jurisdiction when there's uncertainty. Businesses need certainty. So we haven't had certainty since that referendum vote 9 years ago. So economically, we've been okay, but we haven't been electric. And we've had COVID in between, which has dented public finances everywhere. What the treaty does is bring certainty and just, I liken it, after COVID, people had not spent much money during COVID. I mean, locked up. And they couldn't or didn't want to travel. But after COVID, whoosh, there was a huge expenditure in holidays, in houses and moving and what have you, and it pushed up inflation. And I think post-treaty will have a similar effect in Gibraltar. It will unleash business confidence. It will unleash those expansion plans, relocation plans. And Gibraltar has lacked economic vibrancy for a number of years. And I think we're about to hit that. Then that has its ripple effect, because you now get a lot more people in Gibraltar with a lot more spending power. Some of that spending power will be spent in Gibraltar, but obviously people come to Spain. They enjoy your restaurants and golf, and can't play golf in Gibraltar, not very well anyway.
Can't ride a horse neither. Polo people.
So a lot of that economic power is obviously going to have the ripple effect and be spent in the hinterland, and Alcadesa Sotogrande are the obvious places to spend it. So this is where everyone sees it as a win-win. Well, not everyone, but virtually everyone.
I suppose the $1 million question is, when is this going to happen? I've heard that the ratification, I don't know if that's the right word or not, is soon, in January, February next year. Is that more or less the timeline? Or?
Right. Well, I was delighted to have been invited to the convent 10 days ago, which is the governor's place in Gibraltar. And I was chatting to the lady lawyer who's top of the Foreign and Commonwealth and Development Office from the UK, in charge of the text treaty.
Okay. So from the horse's mouth. Or
her baby. And she is seeing it through. And she assured me it was about 483 pages with tons of addendums. And she assured me that it was due to be released, the first draft of the text, by the end of September. They won't, she said, achieve that, but they should achieve it in the first half of October. Then, in her words, it needs a legal scrub, and that means lawyers checking that if, page 2 reference clause 6.4, 6.4 does talk about whatever that is. So it's not checked for renegotiation purposes. It's checked to make sure that all the references are correct and it stacks up. And that's 4 to 6 weeks. So therefore,
surely ChatGPT could do that in 5 minutes.
I did mention that, but I don't think that was warmly welcomed.
Okay.
So lawyers have got to stay in the job,
Of course.
So that would suggest that it's released by the end of November.
Right.
So then it has to have a ratification process, and that ratification is in UK Parliament,
Yeah.
EU Parliament,
Yeah.
and Gibraltar Parliament. And we
Not
all
Spain?
No, because it's a
EU.
Schengen. It's a Schengen agreement. It's an EU agreement with the UK in respect of Gibraltar.
I get it. Yeah.
So some Spanish MEPs will not like it and will rattle the cage in Europe, but generally speaking, Europe will want this, and I think it will get through fine.
Yeah.
So we'll have 3 parliaments ratifying it, but then you've got to actually undertake the provisions of it. So let's say we're in January and everyone's ratified it. Well, then we've got to build the infrastructure. You've got to dismantle the whole border, create a new border at the airport, build this area I was talking to you earlier. And that's not 5 minutes.
No.
So,
Well, it's not the tunnel either. But it won't be 15 years. Or whatever we do that.
so let's assume that's now it's me guessing. So
Yeah.
now this is just purely me, and
Yeah.
anybody can guess as well as I can. So let's say 6 to 9 months. So let's say we'd love it in by June next year, but let's say
So sometime in 26.
So let's say it's October,
Yeah.
but that's me guessing.
Yeah. Let's move away from the treaty and get on to more fun stuff. I won't say West Ham yet.
Oh, West Ham isn't fun stuff at the minute. Let's move on.
Bite Size.
Yes.
Your beautiful, wonderful newsletter, which I recommend everybody to get onto if you want to know anything about Gibraltar. And I will make sure that they have a link to
thank
your
you.
thing in the thing. So anybody wanting to get onto it, tell me about Bite Size, because it's my fountain of information.
Of Gibraltar knowledge.
Yeah.
So Bite Size is a newsletter which I release Monday morning at 9 o'clock, Thursday morning at 9 o'clock. It's just by email. It's probably a 60 to 90 second read, and it just summarises the property, tax, economic and business news items of the last few days.
Right.
In very short paragraphs. There'll be 12 paragraphs, and then there's links.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in paragraph number 7, you click the link. If you're not, you don't. But a scan read, and you're aware of what's going on in Gibraltar. It started in COVID, so we're all shut down.
Yeah.
And our chief minister is undertaking the daily press conference, which most countries did.
Yeah.
How many people have got COVID, how many vaccines, and what we're doing, and that sort of stuff. Seems odd now, but that is how life was.
Yeah.
And I had probably 400 clients on a database, and I would summarize the COVID press conference and send it to 400 clients. And I did that daily. And then the press conferences became every other day, slowly and surely, until they stopped.
Yeah.
And we were freed. And by then, I was up to about 800, 900 clients, because it's how people
got to know
what's going on.
Yeah.
And
not have to wait for the TV and
they don't watch TV, or many of our database, they're not always in Gib. They don't live here. They're not talking in the street. But you couldn't be in the street then because you're locked up.
Yeah.
So at the end of the COVID era, I wrote to everybody and said, thanks very much, happy days, let's go.
Yeah.
And too many wrote back and said, no, we've enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Because I'd started to put in other news as COVID went down and other news went up. Carry on. I thought, well, I can't do this every day. It's going to kill me. So Bite Size was born, and it got a brand, it got a name, it got a logo, and it got a structure. And we don't really advertise it, so thank you for advertising it. But it just grows organically, and we're on, I think, about 4,790 subscribers at the moment. We probably go up, I don't know, 5 or 10 a week, probably lose 1 or 2 a week as people move away. And it's now become our best form of marketing. We put our new instructions in there. It's become the stalwart for many people to consume the news in a very quick manner. It's mostly, as I say, business property tax related. So most of the professionals, high net worths, decent politicians, you know who you are, subscribe.
Yeah.
And it nearly kills me every Sunday night and Wednesday night writing it.
Yeah.
And it goes out on a Monday morning and
it's you
Thursday
doing
morning.
it. You don't
absolutely,
have a production team behind and everything
Okay,
else.
so I do the researching and the writing.
Yeah.
My dear PA, Teresa, happily, well, I say happily, comes in early on a Monday and Thursday and keys it into the software, sends me a test. We both of us check the links and just edit it a bit. We always try and make it smaller, easier to read, easier to consume. It's one page, easier to read, easier to consume, which is actually more challenging than writing loads.
Sure.
Because you're trying to, you know, how can that be more expressed more succinctly? And off it goes out. And as I say, it's now our best form of marketing, and it's just become part of the fabric of news in Gibraltar. Where it goes, how I stop, I have no idea. But you know,
well, I mean, it's as long as you have the audience. I mean, why not? And,
but I go on holiday and I don't stop. I can't stop. You know, you can't not have bite size on a Monday morning. So I could be on a cruise, I could be on a holiday, and Sunday night.
But surely you got somebody that can put them together for you. No,
not the same, Charlie. Not the same.
I know. Michael, thank you very much. Is there anything that you would like to talk about that I haven't asked you? You know, something to do with Sotogrande, or maybe I could give you some answers about what's going on this side of the border from a real estate point of view.
Tell me about the real estate in Sotogrande.
The real estate in Sotogrande.
Is it moving up? Is it static? Where are we?
It is. We've had 2 very good years.
Yeah.
I mean very good years, or record years, one after the other. When you look at the top end, or the high end, if you like, Sotogrande SA sold Niwa. Niwa went for 22.5 million euros.
Wow.
The 7 at the top of the hill there, and the 15 plots, which the plots go for 3.6 million. Only 3 are left of the 15.
Right. Okay.
And the 2 are built, and gentlemen's living in there already. That's why you can't get in now, because the security has gone up. Of those, Aqua was sold for 12.5 million. So the ceiling is going up, and that's dragging everything up.
Which has a good ripple effect.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think it's
but who are these people? I mean, it's a little bit of people coming from Marbella. In other words, agents not having inventory there and offering Sotogrande as a district of Marbella, which I think is correct in saying, because we're not either or. It's very different to the Marbella, the town, everything else. And it's only half an hour up the road. So, you know, people Marbella agents are coming this way and asking us for property. Our inventory levels are very low. We're waiting for things to come out. We have had a big demand from Eastern Europeans. You go and talk to the bank managers here, and it's the Poles that have the highest demand for mortgages. But Estonians, Lithuanians, the Latvians, you know, similarly.
And it doesn't take many people, does it? Because Sotogrande,
exactly,
very different to Gibraltar, but very similar insofar as it's a defined.
It's a little island in that sense.
A defined market. And just as I said earlier, you know, if we had 100 people, could just about absorb them. If we had 5,000, we just couldn't absorb them.
Yeah, I mean, and a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, family offices from Estonia were calling me, saying, look, we have a client, so they have a net worth of 200 million. They'd like to spend 2 or 3 with a good investment, a place in the sun for the family to go, but more than anything, a safe haven. Somewhere where, you know, if you can, and they can because they have this wealth, they can come and get. And that's, I think, all along the Algarve towards us and further up. It's not just us. We get some of that, of course, coming. So Eastern European. Then we have, funny enough, the older Marbella resident. Okay, someone who bought 30 years ago in their 30s or 60 and plus. Marbella today, it's traffic jams. It's a city.
Yes. And that's a different style of living.
Yeah, and it's also now good because Marbella is now becoming a hub for digital, people. They got all these offices and stuff, and that's sort of they're taking the stack of that. But someone who went there at 60, 65 years old can sell their villa, which they bought for 2 million, for 5, come here and buy the same size villa for 3. So, equity release, it's itself done, that works as well.
Yeah.
The infrastructure in Sotogrande is getting better and better and better. So we have more restaurants. I don't know if you've been back here, Plaza Blanca.
I see you every week opening a new restaurant, Charlie. So,
that's going on. The port has got some, the hotel there, which is MIM, and that's a messy.
Yes, I saw that actually.
Yeah. And he's got one there, one in Ibiza, one in Mallorca, and I think someone in Catalonia. So more and more it's happening. The polo now is controlled by the Ayala Polo Club. We've had Paola Zobel, who was talking about that and how that's doing so well as well. So, I think we're still on the up. We are still subject to geopolitical issues. We are mostly second homes, although the market has gone from maybe 5,000 residents to 8,500 residents since COVID. And we know that because we measure the amount of rubbish that leaves here, not the number of people that are registered as living. And there was a big row over when the water shortages came a couple of years ago, or whatever it was. But that was an issue. So the market is okay. It's stable. And we're seeing it, being okay.
I think post-treaty you'll do well out of our little jurisdiction.
I hope so.
And I think what you asked me if there's anything else to add, and related to that, as you've reminded me, those people who are coming in, there is a tax treaty between Gibraltar and Spain, and it's just worth knowing that if, as a non-Spanish person, you become a resident of Spain, a tax resident of Spain, and then you think, because of tax reasons or whatever, you want to become a tax resident of Gibraltar because you want to pay less tax, then Spain deems you a Spanish tax resident for 4 more years. It's draconian. It virtually prevents it.
Yeah.
So those people, 8 years ago, if somebody came into our office in Gibraltar and said, should I live in Sotogrande or should I live in Gibraltar? Should I go to Sotogrande school or should I go to Prior Park? And you could toss the coin. Well, try that one, and if you don't like it, move. Yeah. Whereas now, conflicted, I know, you have to start in Gib if tax is with high up your list of important factors, because you can move from Gibraltar to Spain without any issue, but you can't move from Spain as a tax resident into Gib without a tax issue. So, before people bed down and buy a place, that needs researching, and that's all these new people you say are coming in.
No, and that's good advice, because the last thing you want to do is come here, realize it's not right, want to go to Gib, and you've got to wait 4 years because you can do so. That's just, it's not.
Research is more than just restaurants and property,
Absolutely, and I keep telling people, it's get everything ready. You understand your finances, understand your legal status, understand your, a will. Make sure you have a will, because the Spanish will grab.
The Spanish will is that system's very different to have a Spanish will and a will for your assets in your own country.
Exactly. So it's all very important.
Good advice.
So, anyway, we can go on forever.
Brilliant.
I won't bring up West Ham.
No, don't mention West Ham.
Okay, I won't mention West Ham, but. Mike, thank you so much.
Brilliant. Thanks for inviting me.
Cheers. So there you are, everybody. A wonderful episode all about Gibraltar. Mike Nicholls, a wealth of knowledge in terms of Gibraltar and Sotogrande. We thank him for being with us, and I look forward to seeing you next time.